My mother-in-law insists that I jump the broom at my wedding even though that is not in my culture and made a Facebook post that she has slaved for weeks doing it, so we booted her out of the wedding. We're getting married in October. We've been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. I was born and raised in Kenya and moved to the States to attend university. My fiancé is from the West Coast, Wyoming, and his parents still live there. My fiancé and his parents don't have the best relationship. I've only met them a few times since we've been together. His mother always asks to visit, but my fiancé finds excuses to stop her from coming. He's very introverted, and his mother and father are a lot personality-wise, so I understand why he keeps his distance. After hearing about our engagement, my fiancé's mother insisted on helping with the wedding decorations. She's an interior decorator. I told her that she could design the centerpieces, but the wedding planner would handle everything else. She begrudgingly agreed, and I thought that was the end of it. She flew in a few weeks after that to discuss wedding plans. She showed me a few of her centerpiece designs and then showed me the real reason why she came: the brooms. At first, I didn't understand why she was showing me a bunch of elaborate brooms. She had a whole file showcasing about 50 types of brooms. I kept thinking that the venue we had chosen didn't need different fancy brooms everywhere because it's a modern venue. The brooms wouldn't fit into the theme we were going for. I guess she saw the confusion on my face because she asked if I already had a broom in mind, and she was hoping we could pick one out together. I told her that the cleaning staff at the venue would do an excellent job beforehand, so bringing a broom would not be necessary. She laughed and said, "I'm talking about picking out a broom to jump over during the ceremony. I'm not normally this dense. I know the history of jumping the broom in African American history, but I'm from Kenya. We don't jump the broom in Kenya, and I would feel uncomfortable jumping the broom because it's not a part of my culture, and my fiancé is very white. I just didn't think that my white mother-in-law would be so insistent on us jumping the broom." She was downright beaming when she showed me more broom photos. I told her I was uncomfortable jumping the broom and gave her my reasons. My fiancé stepped in and said that he was uncomfortable as well. His mother was pissed. She said the whole reason she came here was to pick out brooms, and now our wedding won't have any culture. I told her that we could incorporate some of my tribe's traditions if she wanted to add some culture to my wedding. I mentioned the Kenyan choir that would be singing at our wedding, not to mention the very traditional food that would be served, but she wouldn't budge on that broom, and how, without it, we were turning our backs on my culture. I finally snapped and told her we could always go the dowry route. Her side of the family could scrounge together a few goats and some cows, and we'd call it even. She turned red and stomped off. She left after a day of the silent treatment. I thought she would cool down and we could be cordial. My fiancé told me that would never happen. He was right. A few weeks ago, my fiancé's mother posted on Facebook. She decided to make her custom broom herself and made a post on Facebook condemning me and my refusal to jump the broom. She went on and on about how I was turning away from my roots and how she slaved for weeks on a broom that will never be jumped over. I've received countless messages from her friends and family calling me an asshole. My fiancé's dad has called my fiancé and I ungrateful. My fiancé is livid and wants to boot her out of the wedding and cut contact, but now most of his side is refusing to come to the wedding to show solidarity with his mother. Update: I decided to be petty last week, so I sat down and wrote a rebuttal post to my future mother-in-law's Facebook post about my refusal to jump over the customized handmade broom that she had slaved over for weeks. I counted the times she used the word slaved in her Facebook post. She used the word over 10 times. Her post was only 2 paragraphs long. I won't write my full post here, but it touched on me being Kenyan and not African American several times in caps. I decided to tag all of her friends/family who had sent me private messages condemning my refusal to jump over her custom broom. I reiterated the fact that in the true tradition of my tribe, a dowry would be expected from the groom's family. I mentioned that they could send their goats, cows, and chickens to my future mother-in-law's house if they so felt inclined to contribute. I also wrote the post in both English and Swahili to hammer down the point that I'm from Kenya. I may or may not have called my future mother-in-law a racist cow at the end, in a polite way, though. Since my Facebook post, all hell has broken loose. I knew my post wouldn't win any of my fiancé's family over to my side, but I didn't realize that my future mother-in-law had so much pull. After my post, I blocked and unfriended my fiancé's family, minus a few members who had always been in my corner. I had only added most of them because of the wedding anyway, so no love lost there. A few days later, my fiancé's sister texted me that her mother had doubled down. She recruited many of her family/friends to make their own brooms in solidarity with her. There are about 7 brooms in total now, all made by different family members, I guess, to make my mother-in-law feel better. I've seen pictures, they're all horrendous. One of them says, "Fmeal is not a racist," on the handle. Lol. She's been calling/texting my fiancé nonstop since my Facebook post, and so has his dad, but he hasn't given them the time of day. He sent them one text telling them that they'd gone too far and he needed space. Lots of space. As for the upcoming wedding, we have decided to accept my fiancé's family's plan to boycott. Most of their invitations, including those extended to my future mother and father-in-law, have been revoked. They'll probably still show up to the wedding, but we have security. My fiancé and I have decided to go low contact with his side of the family and slowly move to no contact in a few months.